So hello guys, it's mid-September and I figure it's been a while since I've actually done a video updating on what's going on with the truck. So that's what today's video is going to be. Just a quick little update going over everything I've done in the truck in probably the last year or so. So yeah, let's get to it. Moo. So, here it is. Current configuration. Yeah, I mean, we'll start with the front. If you can't tell, the truck is pretty dirty. Like, I haven't washed it this weekend because it's going to rain on Monday, so it's going to be covered in bugs. You're going to notice dust and dirt and things. It hasn't rained all week, so I don't really mind it, but it's still not super pretty. Going down to the bumper area, you can see that I've cut back the license plate holder to make a V, and I've also blacked out the driving lights on the bottom, so when they're not being used, which is most of the summer, it just kind of ties in the look of the front of the truck a little bit better. If you look in the reflection of the bumper, you can actually see right here there's a little bit of a welt. And if you look down here, there's a little bit of pitting on the bumper too, and the license plate is bent up a little bit. That's because the one day I was doing a delivery and pulled into the job site, and I did it the day before and it was fine, but then overnight it rained and the next morning it was just a puddle of mud, and I actually got stuck before I even entered the place and had to get pulled around with a Cat D9 loader all the time. And the one time the chain snapped and fired back at the truck, and like it was being pulled by that little tow hook in there, and it mucked up the bumper a little bit. I mean, it's not the worst in the world, so I'm just going to kind of leave it as it is, but that's how it is. And I mean, the driving lights, they're still there on that side and this side here, but there was one time that I accidentally flipped on the switch for them and they were on with the covers on for about half an hour, and it cracked the lens. I mean, the light still works and everything, but I have a feeling that's going to get worse. So I'm gonna have to order a new lens and get that dealt with, I guess. So now onto the driver's side of the truck. The paint on the top of the hood is starting to get worse. Ignore the dust, but it's starting to, the clear coat's coming off. I mean, at this point I can't afford to repaint the truck right now. I'll be honest, it's been an expensive year for owner-operator life. So, just try to keep it clean and make everything look as pretty as it can. The tires, the wheels were polished earlier this year and they're holding up all right. I mean, everything except the front grille I got to this year, just a quick once over polish, so there's a video on that. These train horns, well, kind of train horns, they're not real train horns, but they're chrome covered, and by the first winter, yeah, all the chrome started peeling off. So I mean, you kind of get what you pay for. Like, they were cheap, but they still work. They just don't look as pretty as they could, I guess. The tank, or the side box here, the battery box, this this step here has been falling apart for the last couple years, and it's getting worse. I actually should probably have to deal with this. I was hoping I could replace the whole box with something that looks nice and fancy, because there's like marks down there. I think it's this side. No, it would be the passenger side, but the edge of the cover is all welted up. So I was figuring at some point I'd get new boxes for the sides of the truck, but it's not exactly in the budget right now. I do have new mud flaps for the sides because this one started splitting along here and I had to cut it off and mount it up a little bit higher, so I have new ones for both sides. The other side actually like ripped off. Where's it? Yeah, it's over there, and I haven't replaced that yet. It's on my list of stuff to do at some point. Actually, while we're here underneath, you can see what kind of muffler I have on this thing now. It's just a little, what is that, 12-inch muffler or something like that? I don't know. It's legally required, so it's there. I got pulled into MTO and they gave me a warning for no muffler and no heat shields, and I still don't have heat shields on this, but they're on order and they're going to be some pretty tight wrapped thingamabobs with a little bit of an air gap, so they're going to be, again, legally binding, but they're going to look for the most part like straight pipes again, still. One of the jobs I'm going to tackle today is the fuel tank strap, because as you can see it's weeping oil, or fuel. I've been having a lot of issues with the engine, and I'll go over that in a second. Because other than that, I got new lines on the back because I had the coily type, and in the winter the plastic cracks, and I blew 2 of those lines and I said screw it, let's get the nice fancy stuff. But now it's rubbing on the back of the truck, so I gotta figure out some way to mount these where it's not gonna rub on the back there. And as far as the exterior, these things look all right. Oh, except for what do we have going on here? What is this? Was it dented by a piece of armor stone? Yeah, I mean, yeah, I had a piece of armor stone come off the trailer and land against the fender. So this fender is going to be replaced and the bill sent to the customer. So at least I shouldn't have to pay for that, but still it's going to be another day or two of the truck off the road and a hassle that I didn't really want to deal with. I think the whole thing is actually like pushed forward as well, because it looks like it's scooping in at the front there a bit too. But anyways, that's going to be replaced at some point. We go to the passenger side of the truck. Nothing really is too much different on this. I mean, everything's fine. It's kind of like this, the driver's side. The tank cap is leaking. It's been leaking for a while. I think you can actually replace the seal in it. And again, that's been on my list of stuff to do, but as far as everything else that's been going on with the truck, it's fairly low priority. And this side box, yeah, you can see up at the top, it's kind of bent in and weird. I mean, it's not the biggest issue in the world, but if I'm getting a new box for the driver's side, I would have liked to get a matching side for the passenger side. But I think at this point I might just be on the driver's side replacing this step, or getting it repaired or something. Just because that's all that's in the budget right now. If we go to the front wheel here, I've replaced these lug nut covers because I had a woman on the 401 drive right up beside the truck, and her lane was ending and there was no room for her to merge in, and she actually ran into the side of the truck. She hit the wheels, she hit the lug nut covers, and I lost a couple of them, and the rest were missing the chrome plating on it, so I replaced all 10. And yeah, that was a whole ordeal, because we both pulled over in mid-rush hour traffic, by the way, and she called the police. I had everything on dash cam, so I'm like, there's no way I'm getting nailed for this. But she called the police, and they said, oh, we're on our way, but it'll be 2 hours. So apparently it was like, you can go to the reporting center and deal with it there, because both vehicles were driving. So she left, and I was like, okay, well, we'll go to the reporting center then. Like, later on, you have 48 hours to go to a reporting center. So she left, I left, and then called the non-emergency line to make a report, and they said, wow, yeah, because it involves a commercial vehicle, you were supposed to sit there for the 2 hours, wait for a cop to show up, wait for a cop to charge her and everything. And yeah, anyways, I made the report. Nothing came back on me, nothing came back on the company. I don't even think she's made it to the reporting center. She's just driving around with a bunch of swirls on her driver's side door. I mean, her car was already damaged in the first place from previous accidents, so I don't think it's a new thing for her. But yeah, that's my story on that. So now we're taking a look under the hood of the truck. I mean, things have gotten pretty dusty under here, because I try not to wash the engine too much, because it'll start messing with electronics. But as far as things I've done this year, I have a video of replacing the external wiring harness. I've replaced the internal wiring harness. This is all to track down some of the shakes I've been having. Because the original shake is one where I'm about 1600 RPM on the engine in one of the higher gears, about 3/4 throttle, and it starts like just a little bit of a shake, and I think that's down to driveline. Nice. But I've also had an injector shake that's been going on, where I'm climbing a hill full throttle, 17th gear, and then get to the top, lift off, 18th, get on the throttle, and it starts missing, and you can feel it's a miss. It shows up in the boost gauge. You can hear it fluttering through the air filters, and then it runs properly again. So that's either injectors or fuel delivery, but everything's been showing up fine on the fuel pressure sensor, or fuel pressure gauge, which I've had pretty much permanently mounted now on the mirror of the truck here. Focus on it. There we go. It's not supposed to be outside all the time. That's why there's like condensation in the lens there, and I don't know. It still works, so it's gonna be there until I figure out what's going on, I think. Every once in a while, sometimes I get a leak through this timing cover gasket. It has been replaced and then sealed again, but right now it's pretty dry, which is nice. I'm still dealing with a power steering leak of some sort. It's weeping out of somewhere. I can't figure out where. It might be the actual pump itself, because that seems to be where the weeping is all coming from. But I've had the lines replaced, I've had the O-rings changed again after the lines are replaced, and it's still just a little bit of a weep. So yeah, I don't know, I'll figure that out at some point. There's a little bit of oil residue on the charge air intake for the air compressor, and I think that might have been from the turbo that blew a month or so ago. If the bearing was starting to go on it and it was letting a little bit of oil by and into the system. At least that's one of the opinions I've heard on that. So maybe that's not going to be a problem anymore because it has a new turbo. My other thought is if fuel is somehow getting into the charge air line, and that's where some of my fueling issues might be coming from. If I'm having fueling issues, not other issues, I don't know if there's any possible way, because this is the fuel line rigmarole, and then this is the charge air something or other going in there, and I'm wondering if in between the two of them, if fuel could be getting sucked into the air line. I don't know. Kind of implausible, but I'm running out of ideas on what could be going on with this truck. But yeah, basically trying to figure out those shakes. I've been firing the parts cannon left, right, and center this year, and nothing has sticked, which is really annoying. Because I did the external wiring harness, I did the internal wiring harness. The injectors were checked and replaced in, I want to say February, but I think it might have been December of last year. Anyways, those are new. Reman, and maybe one or two of those remans are still kind of acting up. They're sticking in certain situations, because I also have a shake at idle when it's nice and hot, like it's been working for a while, and then you get to your destination, stop, and you're at idle, and it's just a little bit of a shake. And you can see it in the Shakeometer 5000 in the dash there. I've had it on a lot of my other videos. So it's been on my list to pull those injectors again and check to see, send them out and see if that's the issue. But I mean, if it's not the issue, that's a lot of money wasted in it, and it's also a few days off the road, which is getting kind of hard to afford at this point. So I guess I'm sitting on that for a bit. I don't know, we'll see. But I've also tracked down the fuel system, where is it? This guy. This housing has been replaced. The line feeding the fuel pump has been replaced. The fuel pump was just replaced and it's not changed anything. These lines to the tank, both pickup and return lines, have been replaced. And it was right around that time that I started clogging up my primary fuel filters. So yeah, I would spin on a new filter and it would last for about a week, and I see the vacuum gauge slowly start creeping up, and then eventually after a week or two it starts going in the red, like it's too much suction, and I've had it up to 10 inch HGs or whatever it measures it by, which is well into the red. And spin on a new filter and it's fine. Open up the old filter, can't see anything wrong. But I've been dealing with putting on new filters every couple weeks now, and I had the pickup tubes. My thought was that they're too far into the tank because those were replaced at the same time as the lines. If the pickup tube is too far into the tank and it's picking up all the crud on the bottom of the tank, then it's getting caught in the filter here. And clogging it up. So I had the pickup tubes raised, but I think this one, it's been about a week and a half, and it went into the red one morning, but it just touched in it. And I mean, the gauge is reading higher than it has been before, which is unsettling. But brand new lines, there shouldn't be any sort of suction going on with that unless there's some sort of crap in either this one or maybe one of the T's. I don't know. It could be the sensor. If not, it could be something that's still clogging the line, like it should be blown out, just to see. But again, it's kind of not firing the parts cannon, but trying to do stuff to see if something's going to stick. And so far, nothing has really stuck. But that's an issue I'm dealing with. So the electronics have been through. That's been through. Still having the shake issues. What else? I don't know. It's just been such a money pit firing the parts cannon this year. One thing I haven't tried yet is replacing the front balancer, and I mean, I could do that, but it'd be nice to. It's only 2 years old, and they're not supposed to go that soon, so I feel like it's gonna just be firing the parts cannon, and it's not gonna stick. So yeah, for now that's the same one, only 2 years old. Could it be a possibility? I don't know. Maybe. Everything's been a maybe so far. So here we are on the passenger side of the engine, and as you can see, that's a nice shiny brand new turbo on the truck, because yeah, about a month ago I had the turbo blow just out of the blue going down the highway, and the intake fins were all chewed up, like something got in the air intake system and just went through it. And anyways, it sent shards all through the system and into the charge air cooler. Now, my old charge air cooler was pretty beat up, and it was rotting, like the fins were rotting on the bottom, but it still held air, so I never replaced it when the engine was rebuilt, which is kind of nice, because after the turbo blowing up, I would have had to replace it again, or at least get it cleaned, and that's kind of iffy. So this is a brand new charge air cooler. All the lines have been cleaned out, everything out of the engine has been vacuumed out where it goes in, and so far no problems with that. It's just super expensive, that's all. So here at the back of the truck, it's a little dirty, but that is a brand new axle housing for the rear axle, because the old one, I had a crack right along here, and it just kept weeping oil. I got it welded and taken care of, and then started leaking again. I think it's been fixed twice, and it would still be leaking, so I had to replace the entire rear housing. So that was done. And then the front power divider, can you see it through here? Sure, maybe. Yeah. Anyways, it had a significant amount of silver in the oil. So that was replaced too. And it didn't fix any of the shakes. You can see on the bottom of this fender where all the fuel from the leaking tank strap is kind of kicking up. But yeah, I'm dealing with some pretty significant shake when I'm bobtailing now. So that's either in the driveline or tires. Those are the two options that it could be, I'm thinking. Like, this is probably part of the shake I've been dealing with since, like, when everything all started to go wrong on this. So yeah, I'm gonna take a look at that today, go underneath it and grease it and see where we can come up, like check all the components. I might even have to stick a camera underneath there and go for a drive and see where the vibration is coming from, because it's very noticeable nowadays when I'm bobtailing, so I probably need to find out what's actually going on and deal with it sooner rather than later. But yeah, for now, I think that's everything going on with the truck. So yeah, normally by this point in the year, I've dumped some sort of money into chrome or something to make the truck look fancy, but it just hasn't been in the budget today. Like, I've dumped so much money into this this truck that just to try to keep it on the road. that there's no extra money for anything fancy. So kind of is what it is for another year, I guess. But sometimes some years are good, some years are bad, and this is definitely one of the not so great years. So just gonna keep plugging along, hope things get better, and yeah, if not, then things might have to change, but we'll see. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna have 2 videos out after this. One of them fixing the tank strap, probably, and the other one is greasing the truck, how to grease the truck. So look forward to those videos in the next coming time. Motorcycle. Yeah, so I'll catch you at the next one then.